Hi guys, we had a few requests on just finding the basics on how to build flow using single stick solo basta. So here we go. Short video, quick one. It should give you a few steps that really are the basics of how you can build your flow. It doesn't get very complicated, and these are the core. This is really what matters. From there, you can take it very far. But for now, we start very simple. So first, your stance, right? We go shoulder width, or slightly more, and then right leg in front. If we are with our sticking our right hand. So that's the first thing. You want to have that stance. It's basically the diagonal of the square so that you're stable in whichever direction, right? You don't want to have your legs too narrow, and you also don't want to be 2 feet like this. You want to have your guard here similar to a boxing guard for us, all right? From there, you hold your stick. We use a puño of about 2-3 fingers, and that's how we're going to start. For now, the empty hand, we're not going to cover it today. Just keep it up somewhere near your chest so that we can use it to check, to block, to disarm, to do different things, but not something we're going to cover today. First things first, if you don't know anything about the stick, you can start to strike by, you imagine basically you're drawing an X or a star, or you follow the hands of a clock, and you can just strike in any direction, right? Going downwards, going up, going horizontal, or we could go all the way vertical, up and down. The one thing you want to start to be mindful of is the orientation of the stick, right? So when I'm going down, if this was a blade, the cutting edge is facing down. I can use my thumb as a reference point for the back of the blade, just as a reference point. Hold your stick like this, but you see that when I'm striking down, I'm striking this way. When I strike up, I turn the blade to hit this way. So it's not just so that I train to use a blade, but also just the integrity of the strike. I don't want to hit like this most of the time because my grip's not going to be as strong, and I'm breaking the structure that will make my strike strong, especially when I land on the target. So with that in mind, again, just moving and figuring out, you imagine that you're painting, as simple as that. Going down here, and you find any angle in between. You're 12 o'clock, you're 1 o'clock, you're 2 o'clock, you're 3 o'clock, and then you try to find the direction. Here, when you get stuff, you just, instead of being here with the hand open, you turn it so that your hand is closed, and you continue all the way around the clock. And from there, you just move, just playing with those angles. One thing that's important is, remember that your weapon is the tip of the stick, right? So that's what you're aiming for. You're not aiming to strike with the middle or the base, but the tip. So extend it, that's the whole point of having a stick, but at the same time don't overextend it, because now you're breaking the integrity of the wrist again. So I want to extend it, but still keep this wrist straight, just the same as I would if I was to punch. So that's my extension. When I strike, that's how I extend, right? Every time coming back towards me so that I can chamber and I don't end up just hitting with the stick, right? The whole body is involved. If you can, as you get comfortable with that, start to really generate the power from the hips, and your whole body is involved in it. Your hips and your shoulders move at the same time, right? Don't disconnect those, because then you can't translate the power you can generate from the feet, from your hips, from your back, from your core, and everything into the stick. So that's the first step. From there, we just introduce 2 principles. One is called abanico. Abanico means to fan, so as if you had a fan, and you're literally fanning the stick. Right to left. Here, and again, same thing. It can be horizontal like this. It could be vertical this way. Every time, what matters is you reach all the way to the front of your target. Yeah, that matters, and your hands stay closed. Your hand stays closed all the time. We'll talk about why later. So you're here. So just practicing this at the beginning, the wrists or everything might feel a bit tight, and you might struggle to reach all the way to the front. It should reach where your target is. But just practice it first to figure out the mechanics. Some angles you'll feel that you're limited, then you need to engage the body a bit more so that you can reach your target. If your wrists don't make it all the way there, use the body to reach that target. Right? So that's your abanico, fanning motion. A lot of it happens from the wrists, and it's a very fast motion. It has a little bit less power than if you were going to do a full strike, but it's going to give you speed. And when you train with a partner, you'll feel that. Number 2 is redonda. Redonda is a rotation, is a circular motion. So instead of hitting, coming back and doing something else, I don't stop the energy from the strike. I go all the way through, right? And this is where you see the rotation. Rotation can happen from the wrists, so you can practice doing this outside, this what we call inside, inside outside, or even horizontal, above your head or in front, if you manage the distance of your weapon. Or you can use the redonda really from the shoulder and the elbow, or you're doing a much bigger motion. Here you're seeing big motion. I still use the wrist, but now I engage the rest of my arm a lot more. So that's when you start to add redondas. And again, you can find your own ways here, under, on the side, above, but every time remember your intention. Your intention is to strike. So don't end up doing things where you're all the way over there, but you're not striking. When you strike, it's in front of you, right? Wherever your target is. So now you have your basic angles, you're drawing your star, you have your redondas, and you have abanicos. So you can already start to really play with this. And really, again, your goal is you control the stick, but you want to also take into account where the stick is going, right? I'm striking somewhere here. Either I decide that I stop the intensity and the energy and I change the angle, or I can decide that whatever is left there, I redirect it into another movement. So that's for the basic, just basic strikes. From there, we can start to play with the right and with the left. So how do I switch from right to left? Very simple. The easiest way is you grab the other tip of the stick, right? The other end of the stick. So that's assuming it's a stick, not a blade, obviously. And the key is you don't have to look at the blade. You can just switch and you know where it is, so that you don't end up either missing here or you don't end up grabbing it in the middle, right? So wherever you grab it, wherever you decide to do it, you can do it over here, like a nunchuck, you can do it behind, it's up to you. So that's one way. So you do your flow here, then you decide to grab the other tip, you switch leg, now I'm left leg forward, and I do the same thing on the left. Yeah, that's the first hand change. The second one is if you imagine you have a blade, or you want to grab the same grip as where you are, you're basically just grabbing here. So the same spot. So one thing that I do is I don't grab it under or above. Why? Because if I don't have a puño and I grab under, now I'm gonna be missing a bit of the grip. So what I do simply is I just interlock. So I grab like this. So even if I'm at the bottom of my stick, I grab like this. So you see the thumb is, I'm not grabbing underneath, I'm here. So that when I grab here, I end up at the same spot. I grab here, same spot. So I don't lose, again, even if I don't have any puño, I'm here, I don't lose any. I'm still just at the bottom of it, all right? So, and the good thing is basically you finish your strike, you grab over here, and you can finish with the other side. So again, same thing. You flow over here on one side, here, that's usually where I grab it, is where it's back on the shoulder, and you strike on the other one. And you can use footwork, we'll talk about it later. I'm over here, here to chamber, and to strike. Same thing here, I use my footwork on the shoulder here, and I can step forward. So you have your redonda, you have your abanico, you have your hand change over here, and then footwork, you can play a little bit with that just to start to move a bit. You can decide that you're facing different directions. So you can decide someone attacks you here, then on the other way. And what you do, you connect it with your strike. So I'm not just doing this, changing hand or whatever, then I switch and I do my thing. I use the strike here, I'm striking this way, I shift to facing here. I strike this way, I strike this way. So as I move, I use the strike, right? And this is where your footwork is good as well, because if I have my right leg over here, so this is right leg forward, I can decide to switch hand, and then when I turn to my left leg is already in front and I'm already in my position, just because of the stance we talked about at the beginning. So again, you can strike. Here I can decide to change hand, and then I continue over here, and I do my flow. Here, again, now you can just slide, still with my left leg forward. I can decide to switch with my right. I can decide to, again, turn to my left. In this case, I can just shuffle my leg, and then I'm here. I can switch to my left, and again, change. The goal is you want to try to always keep a stance. You want to avoid, stepping back too much and doing this. If you can just angle, step into your guard, step back, so that you always have that stability. right? From there, you just play with it. And one thing that's important is how you grip the stick. Some people like to hold it really, really tight, and they feel it's really difficult to have flexibility on the wrist. Sometimes you also see this, right? You see the hand that's open. That's going to be a big issue when you start to hit things, because your stick's you're going to disarm yourself. So try to find something in between. It should be engaged and holding the stick so you have a good grip, no flying stick, but at the same time, you don't want to be too tight. And there's actually tricks that we can talk about later where when I strike, I tighten the grip, because that creates just this little bit here with the wrist. When you strike, it just adds a little bit of power. Okay, but for now, at least find the between tight and really, strong, and relax, so that you can do your redondas, you can use your abanicos, and at the same time, you don't basically, you feel the right kind of control. So if you feel that your wrist is going to fall off, if you feel that it's too loose, it's painful, you might want to tighten a little bit more. And when you feel that this is getting tired, then that's when you want to, stop for a little bit, right? It takes a bit of conditioning for your wrist to get comfortable, so that you build it up. You don't want to, injure your ligaments just because you get over enthusiastic and you train too much. So, or if you get tired on the right, of course, then you just switch to the left and you do the same thing on the left. From there, just find different exercises. One of the drills that I like to do is to set the number of strikes you're going to do on one side. So you can decide every 5 hits, I'm going to switch to the other hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I have to switch. I can't do anything else. I have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wherever I am, I need to switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have to switch, etc. So from there, creativity is going to be what you want to do. The last thing that's probably one of the most important, once you start to build a good flow, find something to hit, right? You see a lot online, like really good flow and stuff, and then the person starts to hit a target, and then it's gone. It's back to basically just doing this, right? Because once you start to have resistance, once you start to hit, you can do a boxing bag. I used to go to a park, and then I would put like a thick foam kind of thing to protect the tree, and then you can use that or a pole, whatever it is. But what you'll realize is whatever your plan was, now you have to take into account that you're striking something. And you're going to have to change the dynamics a little bit, because once you hit something, either it might bounce back, or the trajectory you were planning to do this, and then suddenly it bounces on something, and then you don't have the control you thought you would have. So try to strike something, right, so that you can still build your flow, but it works even if you're hitting something. There you go. These are just for some of the basics. Practice this, play with it 5 minutes a day for a while, and then you'll see a difference. Maybe we'll do a video with a bit more advanced concept. Enjoy!